past couple days, I keep getting fed the same couple videos. I'm sure you have too, because both of these videos have over 50 or 60 million views. Let me play them for you.
Welcome to Pegasus vs. the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel.
City boy! City boy!
All right, this is Rick Beato. And I don't know, he has some dope stuff on his channel, and I was interested. I saw this, Isn't This Just Stealing? He always does stuff about music, so I wanted to see what he's talking about here and pop off. So let's get into it, you guys. Before that, though, make sure you subscribe to his channel. He is super cracking, and I feel like he's he's the OG you go to when you have questions about music. Right, or his channel. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just a wealth of knowledge in so many different aspects. I really appreciate his content and subject matter. So subscribe to him, follow him if you don't already, and let's see what he's talking about on this one.
Over the past couple days, I keep getting fed the same couple videos. I'm sure you have too, because both of these videos have over 50 or 60 million views. Let me play them for you.
At home, 'cause I was doing better alone. So I can't control it, I can't control. I was made for loving you, baby.
That's crazy, because I don't even know who Dua Lipa is, right? But all this Gen X stuff they're playing, I react to that on my music reaction channel. So, yeah, I actually have a take. I want to hear what his take is, but I have my own take on this concept already.
Prisoner, locked up, can get you physical. How would I get
That's crazy.
And then
at home, 'cause I was doing better alone.
you know, the funny thing is, these aren't even music channels. This is something you might expect to see on YouTube Shorts from me or on Instagram. These are just regular channels. And regular people can see how these news songs are directly copied. The melodies sound identical. They're so similar that they're like, yeah, we all get this. You don't even have to explain it to them. So I thought to myself, I wonder if the songwriters are actually getting credited for this. Let's start with the song Prison.
Ooh, I'm excited to see this, because that's a great question. See, this is why I like his channel. He always takes things to a place that, you know, and he'll do the research like on his channel. I got to get a little bit better at doing research while I'm recording too, because I like this. I already like the direction this is going. Again, I have my own take on this, and I'll talk about it at some point. But yeah.
Prisoner by Miley Cyrus, because it uses two songs that it borrows the melody from. I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss and Physical by Olivia Newton-John. The first song was I Was Made for Loving You. It's on Kiss's record Dynasty, which came out in 1979. The songwriters, Paul Stanley,
Okay.
Vinnie Poncia, and my old friend Desmond Child. If we take a look at Prisoner, you'll notice none of the three songwriters are credited. Next we have Physical.
That's crazy.
By Olivia Newton-John, which is from the record Physical, which came out in 1981. Songwriters Steve Kipner and Terry Shattuck. Neither of them are credited either. I don't understand how they can use the same melody, note for note, and not get credited for it. But let's see if it actually mentions either of these songs in the Wikipedia entry. Under Prisoner for Miley Cyrus, it says the song's chorus interpolates the melody from Olivia Newton-John's 1981 song Physical. Interpolates, what does that mean? Let's click on that word here. It says, in popular music, interpolation refers to using a melody or portions of a melody, often with modified lyrics from a previously recorded song, but re-recording the melody instead of directly sampling it. It's often used when the artist or label who owns the recording declines to license the sample, or licensing the piece of music is considered too costly. Okay, so
Kanye West is known for interpolation. I didn't know that until he just read but that's exactly what Kanye West did on his first album. He went and he played, so one of the things, and this is kind of hearsay, this is what I always had heard. So if I'm incorrect, strike me down, not YouTube. Do not strike me, YouTube. Kanye would replay samples and then speed them up. right? And then so he didn't have to pay the royalty for sampling. There was like a less royalty for replaying the music. If that makes sense. So, but Kanye has always kind of done like, that's one of the artists that I really like, who's always sampled. And like, I mean, through the Wire is so obvious, you know, Through the Fire from Shaka Khan and stuff like that. So, yeah. All right, let's see this. What he's saying here.
Interpolating something is you basically steal the melody, and as long as you're re-recording it with new lyrics, that it becomes yours. I don't get this yet. Let's check out the next two songs. Break My Heart by Dua Lipa, which came out in 2020, and Need You Tonight by In Excess, which was released in 1987. The guitar riff is so similar that I remember commenting on it back in 2020 in one of my videos, saying that's lifted from In Excess. And it says right here in Wikipedia, several music critics commented on production elements of Break My Heart, as well as Need You Tonight interpolation. Here we go with that word again. The only difference with this particular one compared to the last one is, as you can see here, Michael Hutchins and Andrew Ferris from In Excess have been added as songwriters on this in addition to the other ones. Gotcha. So they obviously had much better lawyers. You guys know through the history of this channel, I've made many videos.
They had much better lawyers, or the interpolation wasn't as obscure, so they had to like that. That's what's interesting. I don't know enough about music law, but people find the loopholes. Producers find like, oh, it was off by this octave, so it's really like what, you know, I don't know if there's been a case where they like have the extreme definition of interpolation, but this is the same thing with fair use on YouTube. There is not a clear, dry and cut definition of fair use, right? Because they say it's using a small piece of, you know, someone's content, but when you're doubling that content, let's say doing a reaction video, they just don't really have a definition. Like, no one's went to court and has been like, so-and-so versus this person, and this is the defining case of fair use. So I wonder if there is a defining case of interpolation. There probably is. But yeah, I agree. First and foremost, if you're taking other people's shit, they should get accredited for it, and they should make money for it. Not just credited. They need to get the publishing and all these different little mechanical royalties that come with, you know, with you utilizing their original piece of work, whatever capacity it is. I have more to talk about this, but let's see what else he's saying.
Of copyright infringement lawsuits, and also where songs have been lifted from other songs, or as far as I was concerned. Matter of fact, there was a song, Justin Bieber song, Anyone. The chorus is pretty much identical to the song Going Home by Toto, and that you would never know unless you actually listen to these Toto records. Here's a little bit from that video. Toto, Bieber. Toto, Bieber. Here are the songwriters from Toto. You notice that none of them are included as songwriters from the song Anyone. So this word interpolation, I don't get it. I saw it crop up in the last few years. It seems like some made-up word by lawyers.
It's just a bullshit word. So you go on and stamp your form, Sonny, and stop wasting my time.
You know, when music professionals have to work on these for weeks or months at a time, you'd think that somewhere someone would have said, hey, this sounds too similar to this other song. Unless they just don't care. Love to know your thoughts. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. Thanks for watching.
I'm very novice at this. Like, I'm just getting into some of the old school music, or what you'd call classics. But I noticed this. I did an Allman Brothers reaction. What was the song? I forget. But I did an Allman Brothers reaction, and I was like, why does this sound like Beck? I'm a Loser. And I played them together, and it's like the same riff. Beck used that, and then on Allman Brothers is like, like it's just crazy. And for me to notice that and not have like, I have an experienced ear for rap music. So this is my take, and I'd love to hear your take in the comments. Is this just stealing? And I guess the other question is it acceptable, right? So one, in my opinion, it's stealing if the owners don't get credit and they don't get paid for it. If the original makers of this don't get credit, for it, it is stealing, okay? If they're getting credit for it and they're receiving publishings, it's in a sense borrowing. It's still kind of like stealing in a sense, but let's talk about this because I've been slowly but surely learning, and the one thing I've noticed is people have been doing covers forever, right? So in my opinion, this is almost like a hybrid version of a cover song. Like there's some bands who are more known for their covers than they are any of their original works. Now, with that being said, when you're doing a cover, typically the person that you're covering gets their credit, gets some type of publishing. You know, I don't really know how that works exactly, but they should be, right? Because they're like, oh, this is a cover. And I see a lot of parallels there because there is a lot of things. I never knew Dolly Parton saying, I will always love you, right? I always grew up just, Whitney Houston sings that. You know what I'm saying? So there'll be a lot of different things I learn in real time. So one, I think, also we go back. This is what's kind of scary, the music industry. And I'd love to hear what Rick would think about this concept. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? I'm just going to say the group's name. But I've always heard that Led Zeppelin was known for taking other artists' music at some capacity, from blues artists, from this artist to that artist, and reincorporating it in their music on many different levels. That's just one of the groups, but there's multiple groups who have been doing stuff like that, right? Comedians steal jokes, etc. So that's a part of the culture of the music industry. Musicians, people, it's just like sports. People taking PEDs versus people who don't take it. It's like it's always going to be prevalent. And I think the music industry has gotten to a level where it's so cookie cutter. Like all that shit he just played, I will never listen to. I'm talking about like I'm listening to NXS and stuff like that, reacting. But the Lupa, Miley Cyrus, I'll never listen to that shit, man. Because from an instant, you can just tell it's manufactured garbage, right? So this is what we're looking at. Instead of focusing on finding artists who are going to break the mold, bands who are going to break the mold, cutting edge art, what we're seeing is we're just going to redo everything from the 80s and the 90s. Like you notice that with popular culture right now. They try to redo all these classic movies like Karate Kid, stuff like that, and it never amounts up to the originals, ever. Ghostbusters, they literally ruin the originals by just being lazy and reproducing it. And that's what they're doing in the music industry. They're just more covert about it, right? Like you're not getting Ghostbusters, Star Wars, Karate Kid, that legendary iconic name. They're not just using that. They're using the melodies. They're using the riffs. They're using, you know what I'm saying? And so they're covertly interpolations getting away with it. It's bullshit, in my opinion. Then again, this is coming from a rapper who also understands sampling and how important sampling is for hip hop, right? We were sampling drum beats and drum patterns and then sampling other stuff and making beats. And this is actually the birth of hip hop. So I hate to say it, but then there's a part of me like, damn, is hip hop a part of the reason for this? But then again, I tell you it's the culture, because it's like people rag on hip hop so much. I think I start listening like, hey, or do they have a point? But then I'm like, if you're telling me one of the greatest groups of all time, Led Zeppelin, was allegedly taking things and using them, I think that's interesting to just say, oh, hip hoppers, because hip hoppers do put a totally new spin. Like good producers totally rearrange the original work where you can't even tell it's the original work most of the time, right? Like they're chopping in 4-bar samples, speeding stuff up, slowing it down, just take little pieces. It just depends, The real dope thing about hip hop is the original producers. Like when Scott Storch is in there playing the piano for Dr. Dre beats, and they're making original compositions for rap. And I think people forget about that as well. They're like, oh, they just steal stuff. So that's kind of my take on it. I think it's absolutely stealing, especially if the original artist isn't getting paid and getting the recognition for it. However, I think it's just a part of the industry. This is just the new norm. Is people are lazy with art, and I do think that's why real artists kind of rise to the top very fast. Now they're going to push this bubblegum this bubblegum pop bullshit. It just makes money. It always will make money. You know, they saw it from the Jackson 5 to, you know, the Backstreet Boys to this to that. They can reproduce these things. This is why you hear reoccurring sounds in music like Three Doors Down, Stayed, Creed, you know, having that signature sound of the time because they're like, oh, this person said, oh, this will be a hit. Ah, so that's my take on it. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think. And hey, I'll catch you guys on the next one.
City boy, city boy.